You think? Maybe? Possibly? Look, if this doesn't get me subscribers on YouTube, I don't know what will. Ellie, some player introductions, please. Bow wow wow. In the bottom left, red, Sergy thing, a woof woof woof, Reynor, bark 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 bark. Ellie, some professionalism. Watching this on YouTube, please subscribe and like. Bottom left is going to be our red Zerg player, Reynor, and this is a best of 5 series as he takes on ByuN in the upper right. Our blue Terran player here, kicking off this best of 5 series and see what is going to happen. I can't believe she just went to sleep. She's just like intros. Huh. Just gonna take a break. That was really tough. I sat up for like 2 minutes, Dad. Alrighty. CC first from ByuN. It's already kind of fun on the other side of the map with the command center coming down and just playing that big eco game to start us off here in game 1 of the series. So definitely a map where you can still take some risks and be kind of okay and stuff. So not too surprising to see it come on in. This is what happens when I try and have someone co-cast with me. Oh my god. Well, it's the opposite of Hearthstone. I mean, I was casting with Hearthstone the other day. I literally wrote an essay by the time I got to speak again. I have it saved on my I have it saved on my computer as essay for when Hearthstone's talking too much. You go back and add to it every now and then. What's up, Shemsy? How you doing? As we get going into this best of 5. Both these guys looked pretty good in their earlier match. Reynor looked pretty confident against Cure and pretty in control of that entire series. ByuN looked very good against Rattata. A couple of scary moments against Rattata, but ones he was able to somewhat comfortably find his way out of as well. I wouldn't say they were necessarily... there was a point, right, where I was like, oh man, he might actually lose this game. And it was very short-lived, so yeah, felt pretty okay for him. So both the guys having a good start to their group, and obviously one of them looking to already get through to the playoffs with a win in this best of 5. Yes, guys, this is best of 5 because when we do 5 best of 3, so last week, Special and Reynor didn't know it was meant to be best of 5s in the group in the second and the last 2 matches. So they agreed to play best of 3. And our group took 2 hours. Now, I tell you what, when you run an $8,500 tournament, having a day that lasts 2 hours is not very good for trying to get some kind of return of ad revenue or trying to convince people to sub or just anything like that in general. So that's why we have a couple best of 5s in each group, because we kind of just need it, to be honest. Otherwise, the group can be a little bit too short, unfortunately. As unfortunate as that may be. But yeah, the best of 5 solved that. Well, unless the best of 5 is super short, which can happen too, but obviously is less likely to happen. Hellion run by will not do too much here initially. As Silverlord comes in. He's gonna get a good scout. See Stim, we'll see Cloak. That's about it. Yeah, obviously, I mean, in general, we obviously try to be very fair with the players' time and stuff, but I always feel like a play day being about 4 hours long at most is pretty fair, you know, for group stages especially, like 3 to 4 hours. And nowadays, best of 3 groups are very often 3 hours or less, whereas best of 3s and best of 5 combined, like we're doing here, is more typically 3 to 4 hours, very rarely over, you know? So, that's what I've always been aiming for. It's always been aiming for a certain, just kind of length of time of, of play days. You know, I don't want to keep the players here all day long and make the entire thing best of 5 as much as I'd love to have 5 best of 5s a day to cast for you guys. It'd be great to have more content, don't get me wrong, but yeah, I feel like this is a good middling ground where it does just stretch the day out that little bit extra, helps us out, and that's always really nice. Plus one attack. Stim. All on the way through. Off the back of that CC first, ByuN has not taken a third base at all, so he's playing just that one Engineer and Bane, up to 5 racks. This is almost what I thought Kyo was kind of doing in that last game, because he forgot his +1 armor for so long. Ooh, first Alien gets shot down pretty quickly there. Gets denied pretty much instantly. Reynor's creep is really good, which obviously gives you a lot of space to deal with these kind of attacks that ByuN is going to be setting up for, so that alone is already a pretty good starting point at least. Hatchery just coming down, 4th base from Reynor. 65 drones, it can be okay here. Obviously, he will not have an attack upgrade or a carapace upgrade, so he'll be missing that. I think that's one thing he might actually be a little bit sad about in this upcoming fight. Bane speed not ready yet either, so ByuN generally wants to keep pressing as long as there's no Bane speed. But Bane speed is about to finish, so once that's done, then ByuN has to be a little bit more careful with the fights that he takes. This denies one base. Reynor already begins to set up another on the other side of the map. Remember that ByuN is, all in on 2 bases, right? So this is not a situation where ByuN can just sit back and wait and be happy with the position. Reynor is the one that has the time to play with here, and he's definitely using it a little bit. Now he's going to go for it. He does get enough done. Coming straight through, we're going to see these Banes going in and crashing into the Marines that were dropping off. Probably a little bit too close for comfort, really. They should have been not really just dropping that. Should have been lifting back up, stopping that drop as Reynor continued to chase you down. Reynor is still not quite got the army supply to fully finish this off just yet, though. He's going after some medevacs now with these queens. And he get enough done. A few lings coming in. ByuN's army supply is still in the lead. Reynor still missing his 1-1. And he's going to have to make another round of Banelings. I feel like Reynor believed he actually had done enough here, but not the case as ByuN comes through. And ByuN is actually going to end up winning this fight with a 40 army supply difference. Wow. ByuN's looking good here, guys. Now, again, he's definitely the one on a timer, so he's still the one that probably needs to push through and try and find a way to finish this. Reinforcements still streaming across a fairly large map when it comes to reinforcing from one side to the other. So they are taking a little time to get here. Elvies go down, and Marines down the bottom. A tank will press forward and get sieged. Lings wanting to press forward, another tank that will take another step in. Continue through, going after the rest of the Queens. A couple of Lings still going down. Bane's going to come around the right-hand side. Tanks firing away. And the Marines turning back and seeing what they can do here. I mean, the flank definitely is scary. The Marines are surrounded, but they get out of trouble from the Banelings. The tank shot saved the last few Marines. And we have Marines left over again here for ByuN as he continues through. Will again be pushing in towards one of these bases, and Reynor will remain in trouble. As ByuN finds herself, well, a great set of trades there at the end of the day, right? That was fantastic. Man, it was so clutch as well, because there was honestly a couple of Banes that were about to ruin his day, but the tank shot got them, so the target fire was there throughout. Really, I mean, walking a razor-thin line of what would have been way too much in terms of, actually being hit by those Banes and completely dying, but still sticking around there and fighting the fight. Reinforcements are getting caught by Banes and Lings, but it's just not enough either, so Reynor doesn't win this fight, and it does look as though ByuN is full steam ahead for game 1 of this best of 5. GG's. ByuN is going to get the first game of this series. Starts off strong. Out in the top right corner, it is going to be the red Terran player that finds the first game of this best of 5 series. Can he keep it going? It is ByuN. Winning on Reynor's map pick as well to start is obviously very strong for you too, because it's one of the Zerg maps. I mean, I think everyone is kind of okay to play on, but it's one of the maps that Zerg likes, so you are kind of taking that away from them, and some more Terran maps still to come. And these 2 base pushes from the Terran players lately have been all the rage. A lot of people cranking those out and finding some good success. Reynor in the bottom left corner of Waterfall. I mean, this map is very short. Reynor's veto was Moondance, by the way, so Moondance vetoed leaves us with Waterfall, Inside and Out, and Stargazers all in this best of 5. That is kind of crazy. Obviously, very short map. We're not going to go CC first, already just putting the barracks down instead. Hatch gas and spawning pool all coming in on the side of Reynor. And obviously just a story to be told once we actually figure out what these two will truly be getting up to. Bam, bam, bam. And a Reaper opening as well. Like I said, I expect we're going to see a mix of Reaper and Marine openings from ByuN. With the size of this map, I did somewhat expect maybe to see the Marines and pushing across, but maybe he's also afraid of the Roaches, so he wants the Reaper to just help him get the proper scouting, get proper info right away, and be able to respond as necessary or as needed to all of that as it goes on. Throne of Reynor down the left-hand side, going to come across and build up a hatchery. Queen is going to be finishing up, Fueling's still coming in, and Reactor's about to be done on the barracks as well, as the Hellions still coming through, and a starport now beginning. All Marines continuing to be on the way out. This Reaper again just poking around, but not finding a whole bunch of anything just yet, as it kind of shouldn't be, right? I mean, what is there to really see if there's no Roach roaring down and no Roaches popping out more specifically? Then yeah, there is not really much for that Reaper to grab a hold of in terms of information. But it's good. I mean, what you're not seeing as well is nice info, right? Because now you know as well you're not seeing that happen. You're not seeing Roaches and so on, so you know you're not under attack super early on or anything along those lines. It's also pretty nice to know about, if nothing else. Medevac halfway done, Marines and a Hellion reducing on out as well. And this is where ByuN will get a little bit aggressive here. Again, this kind of Marine drop, Hellions run by. Did this early against Ratatas, swap that factory onto the reactor afterward, give himself the reacted Hellions. So Overlord starts to scout on in. Liberator is already coming into production. Getting this going straight away as our Marines will begin to boost on forward. Marine's going to go and grab the Overlord there. Is just going to take that down straight away. Nice little grab. Okay, what's up? Oh boy, thank you so much for the 11-month resub. And a question in the chat, what's with the red, white, and blue boxes on the mini-map? The red and blue boxes are where the players are looking. So the red box is ByuN's point of view at any point in time, and the blue box is Reynor's point of view. So you can tell where the players are looking on the map and when they're looking back home and stuff like that. So then the white box is the camera that we are currently using. So you can use that as a comparison. This Overlord will go down. Armory coming up, Stimpack on the way. A couple of evolution chambers already starting up on the side of Reynor as well, so Just building straight on into this. Aliens morphing into Hellbats. The Marines as well going to go try push down the bottom side here as Queens want to try and come forward. 3 more being built. There's a lot of Queens on the way. This is going to be a Queenling defense. This actually is with that armory this time around. It's not something we saw when he played this against Rat-a-tat earlier, so a little bit different in that regard. Just so many Queens, so tough to really get through for damage. And ByuN knows at this point he would rather try and evacuate these units out of here and keep them alive for a later push that's more likely to deal damage. You know, if you back up a bigger push later, that's pretty much always going to be better than losing these units now and then not having them later. Because, again, they kind of already pushed what they can out of themselves. I mean, if you get here and deny a 4th base, that's pretty cute. And 4th is going to start going down. The medevac pushed away. Hatchery is indeed cancelled. So that will fall right off the start. Just going to get a couple creep chimneys coming out in this direction as well. Still pushing up the left side. As we do have everything back at home from ByuN continuing through. He actually goes +1 vehicle weapons as well. Wow, so I wonder if he's going to keep building. It looks like he's going to build tanks. You don't usually see the mech upgrades in TvZ when you're playing Bio. Usually it is just the Bio upgrades and not too much of anything else. But again, guys, you might notice the lack of a 3rd CC. Once more, we're playing 2 base, all in, out of ByuN. So a bit of a different setup, a bit of a different attack, but now we're setting up into really just continued aggression like we saw last time. And we'll see what Reynor's prep for that can be. I mean, it's a very short map, so ByuN will get across very quickly. There'll be very little time for counterattacking or intercepting reinforcements as Reynor. And there's definitely a good couple choke points that these tanks can set up around as well to really try and stop, Reynor from being able to take a good fight as well once ByuN is across the map and gets into those locations. The creep team is already going down. See the 2 tanks continue to press forward here and we'll begin to siege, and obviously a little scan can give us the denial on a bit of creep if you would like it. Denying creep between the bases actually is kind of nice. It will slow down a couple of units moving between there, especially if Queens want to go one way then the other. Reynor has 1-1 upgrades already finished. ByuN is moments away from his own +1 attack finishing. Well, the first Banelings though waddle into a single Hellbat. Obviously, we're a little while away from having the plus Baneling speed finishing up, and that would be a major help here as well. As ByuN sits and just continues to take down this hatchery. I mean, Reynor can use the base on the bottom side instead, sure. As right now, Reynor does also have units in the middle trying to intercept reinforcements or catch ByuN's army returning home. Most of this army will just fit into these medevacs though, so if you need to, you can probably just lift these up and get out of there. He's obviously keeping a lot of units at home defensively as well. Yeah, honestly playing a pretty good game still for the moment. And now we move through the middle, going to go chase after a couple of overlords. Bio still in the middle of the map, seeing what it can do. And so right now, not a lot. Tanks firing up a little bit of a storm here. Gonna go after some of those Queens. And here we are. This is the big fight from Reynor. He attacks on in. There's a lot of Banes on the top side that will not get to this group of Marines, and these Marines will do a lot. Now, the tanks do fall, so ByuN is going to be missing his splash damage from here on out, but was that enough? Out of Reynor, did he slow this down enough, or has ByuN been able to keep enough alive? That's the question we face right here as medevacs start to go down. ByuN is losing a little bit of the wind in his sails, and that does point toward this perhaps actually being good enough here for our Zerg player. Potentially. Coming in again, and it's just going to be seeing the Marines, the Lings, the Banes all getting set up. Just going to see a few more Lings getting a wrap around here. The Marines are low HP, losing some of the medevacs takes away just a bit of the healing, especially when the healing is so minimal because the medevacs are low energy. We do see Liberators trying to siege up, but they are barely going to get sieged. Just now we have to deal with these Banelings. We are dealing with the Banelings. We target fire the Banelings. Reynor is still not quite pushing through this army despite the setup. In we go to a mineral line. A few drones going down. This hatchery will start to fall. ByuN's actually going to see these banelings morphing in. He's going to stop them from coming online. All of the banelings get cancelled. Overlords are in trouble, and ByuN is storming through to try and take game 2. My goodness, he's going to deny the baneling nest. So 14 extra banes on the way, but those will be the last unless Reynor commits back into a new bane nest. ByuN's Marines are such low HP, though. I'm terrified for him to have to take another fight if he does. I mean, it's just such low HP, like I say, on pretty much every Marine. And the medevacs are drained of energy, so it's just taken a while to get everything else coming back in your favor. My goodness. A wild one here as we get ourselves continuing to go. Just gonna see ByuN taking a few moments to kind of collect back together again, which is definitely not surprising considering what we've been seeing, how this has been heading. He's having to pull back just a little bit. And this may give Reynor a little bit of time. Obviously, Reynor did have to transfer workers to a different base. That exactly is not exactly ideal, to say the least. You've seen the Cling Bane here on that right side, unable to really get through, being denied for the moment. Marines is going to sit here with the siege tanks in support, ready to maybe take another fight. But I do feel like as time is passing, I get that ByuN has obviously put his base on location, right? I get that he's taking his main, so he kind of has third base mining, but can't help but feel like time is kind of more in Reynor's favor. If we wait, that Reynor is the one that benefits more from that. Maybe I'm just being a little bit too afraid. Maybe that's not really as much of an issue as I'm making it out to be. Honestly, it might not be. I mean, ByuN still has the army supply lead, right? So maybe, like I say, I'm doubting for no reason. The Ling Bane here is actually going to force ByuN to turn around. We do have upgrades on both sides. Reynor moving toward 2-2 as his melee upgrade comes online. And that might be one of the reasons ByuN actually needs to wait, so he can actually try and even up the upgrades at least a little bit, because obviously fighting down on upgrades in battles that are with very low unit count, etc., fighting with low amount of units in an upgrade deficit is really bad for you. So good to be, I suppose, making good decisions in that regard. Reynor looking for counterattack, but ByuN, I believe, has a defense over there. A few Marines, and yeah, actually a lot more Marines showing up from the third location. And a lot of Lings that don't really do much as Reynor loses the bottom right base. That's okay. He's got 4 bases. He's even trying to take 5 to the far left side. Oh, ByuN, oh, now he has to lift up, but he lifted up kind of late, and he misses the lift up on a couple of the units. He really could have lifted up everything there, but they kind of just stopped, no? It just took a moment and we're like, well, let's just stop and have a little bit of a party, and that was kind of disastrous. ByuN losing a lot all of a sudden, and Reynor still not quite ahead in supply, but it's definitely looking better and better for Reynor than it has been. I imagine ByuN's +2 attack is the last upgrade he gets, as yeah, was about to run headfirst into this and just needs to always make sure that he's siege. He cannot afford it to be any other way. Really moving around the side. I like the Lib just going to try and deny some mining as well. Anything you can do to slow Reynor down at this point could be super essential. Just finding success in this game. Well, ByuN had it won, honestly, a little bit earlier on, but now we're in this intense little standoff. Fire Force is still pressing forward. There you go, Ling Bane going to come on through here. The Marines coming in to help, and actually the tank's doing a pretty good job of this. The little drop in the bottom right does get cleaned up. Reynor will lose this base, but it's not a base he's mining from, so how essential this base is really is kind of still up in the air in that regard. It's not the most important base we've ever seen, that's for sure. Tanks in just such a good spot here. Let's see what this fight can look like. ByuN needs to disengage from some of these banelings somehow. He has to lift up, which is not ideal because it leaves his tanks behind. And obviously his tanks being left behind isn't pretty as he starts to lose a chunk of those. That's not something to be happy about at all. More libs on the way up. Reynor really has just gotten up to bases, and not even necessarily the drone camp, but just structures on the map that are really getting enough done for him. I gotta say, I'm genuinely kind of impressed because I really didn't think this one was going Reynor's way at all. I really thought he was in some serious trouble here, guys. I really did, but that is just Reynor, right? He finds his way out of these tough scenarios, and he definitely did so here. And it did feel like ByuN slowed the game down, and like I was saying at the time, I was like, well, is he slowing it down too much? Is that actually good for him? Is that a bad thing? It kind of was a bad thing, really. And these couple of Banes come through, gonna go and hit this cluster of SCVs. 8 workers already going down there. And now ByuN's army is going to try and set up to defend here. He actually does at least get away from the Banes. There's low HP Marines surviving. ByuN is actually going to come out with an army supply lead, but he loses 18 SCVs in a game where he's moving his natural command center to the 4th location because his economy is nigh on terrible. So it's not like he's really in a position at all to be, well, yeah, it's not like he's really in a position at all to be losing workers, is it? ByuN really looking as though he's in a ton of trouble here. Resources lost, 8k better off for ByuN. It is the income graph that has been so strong for Reynor. Now as his income gets better and better over ByuN's as well, it's only becoming more of a problem. Marines coming through, going to clean out a bunch of this creep spread. And again, the problem is ByuN, I feel like as well, has invested a lot of time into some of these like external bases, which makes sense to get, but they're not really dealing damage to Reynor, who just takes a base on the other side at the same time. So as he's only ever killing one of those bases, Reynor's like, well, I don't really care. I've got the base on the other side. You're not hitting any of my drones while you're killing these bases. So because of that, it's never really mattered all that much when Reynor has lost bases over the last 3 or 4 minutes of this comeback. And again, that's, I suppose, kind of the problem for ByuN, is that he's then just never found really any further damage that he can properly continue to deal. Gonna push forward with the Liberators right now. Marines and tanks will continue in. I mean, it's still a scary army from ByuN, do not get me wrong. It is not completely game over yet. It's just been heading the way of Reynor as these medevacs will have to evacuate. There's another base going down. I mean, this is maybe starting to become a bit more of a problem. Reynor is on his way to Ultralists, however. His first Ultra on the way out, and he's got Viper support, so he's just hitting that Hive tech that ByuN has no real good answer to, right? I mean, a good answer to Ultras and Lurkers, Ultras and Vipers are Ghosts. Duh, Ghosts counter everything, right? But we don't see any of that on the map, and we are going to lose more SCVs as Reynor hits a counterattack. Top left-hand side, there is a little drop, which once again, Reynor deals with without losing really much of anything. And it is ByuN that seems to be the one losing here, there, and everywhere. And Reynor is actually going to take this fight in right now. Parasite bombs on the Liberators, going to get abduct on the siege tank from afar, and ByuN's supply now is going to get wiped out. It looked like he had it done on Waterfall, but it was not the case, and Reynor ties up this best of 5. Being a little bit patient just as I got the relog going. Game just got started. It's 1-1. Went Tropical Sacrifice here for game number 3. Back to Reynor's map pick. Literacy first, Tropical third. ByuN picked Waterfall, then Inside and Out for map 2, then 4, and Stargaze is left as map 5. Should we get all the way, of course, we will see. Bottom left-hand side, the Blue Zerg player from TvZ Gaming in Korea right now, playing in GSL very soon. If you weren't aware of that, then go watch, because a lot of people are excited about it. It is Reynor. In the top right-hand side, our red Terran play from the Shopify Rebellion. It's ByuN. And what a read from Reynor. As proxy racks go down in the middle of the map, there is going to be a proxy, not a proxy, but an early pool out of Reynor early in the game. And that is generally looking to be kind of a shutdown. So this does not start off well at all for ByuN. In the slightest, in fact. It does not start off well for him in the slightest here as he drop a hatchery down onto the natural and the gas. Obviously, Reynor doesn't know about this. Maybe just has a little bit of a feeling, just has a bit of belief. ByuN is pretty commonly 3 racks in or 2 racks in the game, so yeah, maybe just a good prediction of when he was going to crank it out during this best of 5. And yeah, I mean, now it just means that it's very difficult for ByuN to get really any success from this. It's still possible. Oh, okay. Blind Roach Roaring 2. Reynor was just setting up for an all-in from the very start. He's just going to find himself a super hard counter to what ByuN is doing. ByuN actually scouted. Did he scout with the SCV? Yeah, he scouted that it's a pool first. So what ByuN does is he sees it's a pool first and immediately actually starts to just bring his Marines home. He never sent his Marines forward. Now he's got 3 Marines intercepting the Lings in the middle of the map. Obviously, the one thing ByuN doesn't have is information about the follow-up Roach attack. He has no idea about that. And the problem is, no matter what, these barracks, yeah, are going to get stopped from producing, right? They're going to get stopped from producing. So those barracks have to lift off. They have to move away to the right side. Away they go. Yeah, I mean, now you're just not producing units for a little while. He does kill an Overlord on his way. Reynor is going to have 5 Roaches total. Will go across the map with them. Obviously, there's no low ground to play against. I guess it's kind of bad that he lost his Overlord then, because now he doesn't have a way to provide high ground vision for his Roaches. He has to properly run up the ramp to be able to see. So that could be a little bit problematic, perhaps, as those Lings continue forward, making their way over here. And yeah, maybe ByuN can actually get a reasonable defense off this. And what's funny is right now ByuN has a worker lead, so because this has been pretty committed from Reynor, this unfortunately might backfire for him a little bit. It's actually might kind of flop for him here. Over the next little while, as you're going to be seeing the bunker doesn't finish. Oh no. I feel like ByuN was playing this as though the bunker was absolutely going to finish, and it will finish now, and Marines will get inside of it, but obviously 4 SCVs already fallen, and now these units just run past. And the Marine count is already brought down a little bit from what it was. SCVs chase and finish off that Ravager. One last Marine does not get in the bunker. The Cyclone will save the day, but Reynor does find economic damage, which was absolutely not guaranteed. That is for sure. Cyclone gets rid of that Roach, and that is going to be a shutdown. Down. Alright, well, 19 SCVs to 30, and you can see where Reynor's going to be at now. He will be on a very late 3rd hatchery, but obviously ByuN doesn't even have his natural CC A morphed into an orbital or B on position just yet, so it's not like the later 3rd is super problematic from Reynor, considering the slowness of ByuN's game and setup for the moment as well. Cyclone coming through, trying to get some of these drones and actually forcing a bunch of spores to be made. Finally gets himself a kill as the mass cancel comes through, and Reynor will bring those workers back. Good mining. Good defense from Reynor, really minimizing what ByuN can get done. As ByuN is obviously trying to scrape together any little bit of advantage that he can, any sort of, you know, way back into this game, because he will know that the workers lost there for him will be a little bit too high to be in a good position. Yeah. Should have been so good for him too. Bunker was so close to finishing. Depot could have been raised. Just lets the Roaches walk straight in there, and obviously that's not meant to happen. So, fortunately for ByuN, like I say, it could have been so avoidable. Could have been so much less damage taken, and then would have been a reasonable spot perhaps. Now going into Cloak Banshee. Let's see if he can use that to get back into this. See if that's one way for him to find success here. If he gets 57 minerals refunded for spores, isn't that still more loss than just losing the drone? No. Because you would lose 20, you only lose 23 minerals, right? Or 18 minerals. So you're losing 18 minerals instead of a drone that costs 50, plus, yeah, maybe a little bit of drone mine time, but it's definitely better to keep the drone alive, because at that point the lava is very important. Why some players directly seed into Group Stage 2, tournament format, and the way we decided who to seed into Group Stage 2 was based on their WardiTV 2022 points. So basically, the better they've done in our events this year, the further along in the tournament you got to start. It was obviously a nice little something for some. Banshee going to be finishing here as we have a couple of Hellions still popping out. ByuN Nest, Flare, all on the way through. And we've seen our units at least getting rid of some of this creep spread initially. And I mean, the unit count here from ByuN is somewhat scary. Reynor is moments away from his ByuN Nest. He doesn't have his 1-1 yet. So all the things Reynor's investing into, not here yet. Can he find a defense? Queen count at 6 as the Hellbats have morphed in. Reynor knows just buy a bit of time, morph in some Banes, and he should be able to clean this up. But again, it's not a guarantee just yet as our Banshees move forward. Our Hellbats come through. And we start to pack a punch onto this base. The drone's already pulling away. Did we actually leave any... Oh, if those two Hellions had gone after those drones, maybe they could have found a big shot or two. As they ended up moving into Hellbats. The Hellbats actually went down pretty quickly as the Lings got a bit of a surround. The third hatchery here of Reynor is in some trouble. Hellbats are actually chasing Queens off to the top side as well. So that's where some of those were as Lings continue to drop. Will we ever get enough Banelings up to deal with this as Reynor? I mean, he's got to go sooner rather than later because, well, you can just see his third hatchery is continuing to take damage. If these Banshees target down the Banelings, no, he goes after the Queen, and the Banelings hit the Hellbats that are kind of stuck together. I actually really think he could have had the Banshees take down at least 2 of those 3 Banelings, and then the Hellbats would still be alive. And Reynor does find himself a hold at the very end there, and I feel like that was a slip-up on ByuN's behalf. And even not getting the Banelings, the Hellbats obviously could have split, but then they were all clumped up, and the Lings had them stuck, so they couldn't get away. So it all went wrong very quickly there for ByuN, but the potential was there. He gave himself the chance. Unfortunately, in this situation, it just wasn't quite enough. Two more barracks in the main base as he is getting to a third CC behind this all. Army supplies are still very similar as Reynor, though. Already 1-1 as ByuN starts his zone, is moving into 2-2. Reynor is obviously on Balin speed on the way now, and he's already got the drone count. So Reynor has just got the drone count set to go. He can build nothing but units from here on out, and that means he can focus on kind of dictating how this game goes himself. He doesn't have to wait on ByuN to attack him or this or that or anything like that. No, not at all. Let's grab a hatchery kill over here, though. That is a hatchery that dies, so no cancel. Triple Banshee packs quite the punch. That's what ByuN is once more relying on here to try and just deal some additional damage. Making his way through this current extractor. SCVs are going down. There's a major run-by across the map. So as these Banshees get dealt with, this run-by has found 9 SCVs. ByuN is just going to tap out GG's as Reynor will take game 3 and onto a 2-1 lead in this best of 5. A good tournament where it's his maybe if it was the last game already or something, sure, but like in this scenario, I think it's a fine GG. He's not winning that game, and I think that was kind of obvious, to be honest. Super behind on upgrades, right? You know, he's an entire 1-1 set of upgrades behind. That's really bad because it means all your trade sucks. So all of the efficiency you're meant to find for being behind on workers isn't there. Just don't think it really exists. The way that you win that game. Reynor bottom left and ByuN top right, inside and out. Let's find out if we can have a victor here, or if we're going to get ourselves 5 games in the first of the 2 best of 5s in this group. Of course, after this series, the final match of the day will be Cure taking on whoever is not victorious. So whether that is ByuN losing this game or Reynor if he loses in 5, Cure is waiting for that best of 5 decider match in the very near future. Once again, Reynor gonna open aggressively. Reynor is one of these guys in online cups that kind of just summons his inner Bly and just says, well, prove to me that you deserve to see a macro game almost. You know, he's like, show me that you deserve a macro game, and then we can talk, you know? So, yeah, he actually didn't open up super aggressively this series straight away, but Now he's just going to keep on playing aggressively. Rotron for a second game in a row. Obviously, different opening from ByuN, so for all the love in the world, he was close to holding last time around and actually was set up decently and whatever else. Doesn't really matter when we go into this game. It's a full reset, it's a completely different setup. You have Marines on the way out after the initial Reaper, which is going to be pulling back home now to try and deal with this attack. Factory going to be finishing up, and the bunker on the way on the high ground. So he's already expecting the roaches, so ByuN is aware of what Reynor might be trying to do here. He's already prepping himself for that. How's the Reaper? Comes on in and is going to get rid of that circling, so takes that down. You know, a Cyclone on the way out, honestly, with the Reaper dropping a grenade, buying a bit more time. Shouldn't really do too much from ByuN. He has made 6 roaches, 5 of them still roaches, 1 of them Ravager. Let's see what the defense is. Don't lose any SCVs here as ByuN. This is obviously going to be very good for you. We have a starport on the way down as a follow-up. So also just playing double gas, not single gas 3cc. That does mean you really want to make sure you're not taking worker damage, because obviously if you take worker damage and you're not playing triple CC, it's very bad. That's actually a nice start here, and he's going to get rid of the first Ravager immediately. It was another good grenade out of the Reaper. Let's see. It is, like I say, important to not lose SCVs here, really. That was a bad lock-on from the Cyclone. It locked onto first the Ling, and now it locked onto the lowest HP Roach. Feels like the Cyclone could absolutely be doing better for itself. Another lock-on in a moment, but it's going to be low HP. Locks onto the low HP again. Obviously kind of scary as now the Cyclone has to get repaired, and this is where SCVs start to fall. 4 of them, 5 of them, and this is where Reynor is going to find the damage. Now this isn't damage where you need a 3rd CC to get back into it or anything, but it is damage enough to put Reynor ahead after the opening. And this ByuN was just shy of really being able to save all these SCVs. He was kind of close, didn't quite get there. The crew thread just gonna go down. Our mules continuing through, and we'll see what ByuN can do on a counterattack. He's gonna have a medevac, so the counterattack is absolutely on the cards. He wants to get across, he wants to try and deal some damage. We can see that from the very start, so it will not come as a surprise. Let's see if he can be successful, as honestly 2 Cyclones and a medevac, if unhandled, can absolutely rock a Zerg's world. So there is potential here for sure for ByuN to get some counter damage done and to maybe take a bit of a stand back into this game. Getting ourselves a queen already. Cyclone do lift back up, and now going to find themselves a drone kill. Oh, well, they would have done, but Reynor was too quick on the Spore Crawler. Obviously, the medevac is the one that's been targeted so far, so that if you hit the medevac, it's going to be limited to how much it can stick around and micro those Cyclones. That has definitely been pretty successful from Reynor, because now the Lings get here, the Cyclones get pushed away. They'll find a few more Lings, but nothing too crazy, as we start to build Hellion Banshee behind it, and an armory too, so Hellbat Banshee, plus a couple other units to support, and it's very similar to the previous game, where ByuN's going to have a lot of army supply, and Reynor maybe not quite as much as he would like to have. And there's definitely going to be a little bit of a time in here for ByuN to get some damage done, and maybe possibly do enough to even be somewhat comfortable in this game after that opening. Reynor, of course, though, does have the Roach Roaring on hand, and he has gas ready. He's going to build +1/+1 missiles, so he's going to play a Roach style from here on out, and Roaches are just much better at dealing with early game aggression. Roaches just kind of low numbers of Roaches just do very well straight away, and Roaches just scale very quickly to being good. So, a little bit less flimsy than the Zerglings. As now these Hellbats and Cyclones press forward, we see that Overlord in some trouble. We're going to go after the Queens on the right-hand side. First couple Queens already starting to go down here. That was actually a good start to the fight, at least from ByuN. 3 Queens killed, and continue to kite away. These Roaches continue to take quite some damage. Drones dying off, 3 of them. Yeah, actually, I like this a lot for ByuN. You know, he got himself some unit kills. He got himself a couple of drones. Reynor was not really drone during this either, so ByuN actually caught up on worker count. And ByuN should be coming out of this feeling very good about his position in this game, because well, it's very good for him. He is in a great spot coming out of this. That's fantastic. Good job. Well, obviously, we still got the Banshees to make an appearance. They've not shown up yet. They weren't with the initial Hellbat Cyclone push-in that we just witnessed. So those Banshees can still come around and make something happen, perhaps, as missile upgrades do start up. Like mentioned, they're going to be finished soon even, but no lair, which means no roach speed, so unlikely we really do much of a 1-1 timing or anything. So obviously missing that should be kind of painful as well. There's our lair finishing soon. We really do just need roach speed to get underway here. Also, we're not going to be in too hot of a position at all. Reactor's going up. More roaches being built. There's that roach speed now. Will Reynor just start up to 2 missile upgrades? I feel like he probably should, realistically, at this point. I don't know how it really goes for you if you try and stick around in a different way. So I think I kind of just like to see the 1-1. Oh, the 2-2 stun. I mean, if he really just waits for roach speed and then commits to 1-1 roach attack, that feels very late. So that would be pretty surprising if that was the choice, but, well, Reynor has surprised us in the past, so it's not an impossibility when he does the same again. Not impossible would just be unexpected, yeah. Plus 2 carapace and a melee upgrade, I like that. Playing roaches from here on out is generally a little bit of an off-style, you know, going into lurkers off the roach upgrades and stuff. It can work, but it's not something I see Reynor playing very frequently. But going into a melee upgrade and continuing the carapace and getting ready to start switching into all of those other upgrades, such as the, all of those other upgrades, I say, all those other units, such as Bane lanes and just Ling Bane with some Ravager support. That is a route that Reynor definitely would like to take. That is definitely a very Reynor-esque kind of way of playing. And that, for the moment, is what we are going to be getting. We've seen the Baneling Nest about to finish up extra Lings on the way through here, and just having ourselves the upgrades, of course, still coming in. The Hive is on the way as well, so we continue to see tech approval from Reynor. With an army on the right side, is going to be able to deal with some of that Ling Roach. At this point, ByuN is 2-2 upgrades on the way. Look at the supplies of stuff. I mean, honestly, the work counts are pretty okay for ByuN. His upgrades are not that far behind, so feels pretty comfortable there as well. Like across the board, I look at this, I kind of like ByuN's position. I wouldn't jump to kind of take it, but it seems pretty okay. I mean, we do have the Spire and the Hive on the way up from Reynor, so it's not like Reynor's tech is bad either. He's also got a couple of Infestors, and I love a couple of Infestors being mixed in. You know those couple of Infestors can cause absolute chaos and make life a misery for a Terran, especially when they just show up out of nowhere. So, love having a couple of those early just to support already. And we'll be excited to see if they can deliver something as ByuN. Still pushing this right side. He's got that drop in the center of the map as well, which we'll try and find something. We'll see if that can be a success story or not down the line. For now, though, we set up on the right, and we actually do look to find some Queens in the middle. We get one of those Queens in the end, trade with a few Lings, and we leave with only a couple of Marines dead. It allows ByuN to get further down this direction. And this base is an awkward one to hold, because from the high ground, you have to come down ramps to basically reach the siege tanks, which is not what you want to be doing, of course. So that really is less than ideal, as now these Marines are going to unload behind the mineral line, go after a few drones over there. Roaches and more Zerglings continue to come on through as the medevacs come in to unload. Another Queen in a bit of trouble. And the Marines actually going to get shut down as one medevac will fall from the sky. Shot down by a Queen. That's actually a pretty nice catch on the side of Reynor. Getting rid of a medevac really does slow down that pressure as ByuN with this tank line, really hoping he can continue to set up for a good fight. The fungal growth here could have been big, but the tank shut down the Infestor. Now we've got Vipers on the way, and obviously this cluster of tanks needs to be a little bit more spread out if they want to be successful against the Vipers. Otherwise, the Vipers are just going to hit a gigantic blinding cloud and completely nullify, well, a huge amount of tanks all at once, which is obviously anything but what you want to have happening. ByuN getting a lot of damage done as he can just stand here and fight. There are the Vipers looking for the way in. ByuN putting units in position to try and zone those Vipers out, force them to come in from a different direction, force them to take a bit longer to find it, but what a great first blinding cloud. 3 tanks are going to be stopped. No, actually, I thought it was 3. It was actually only 2 of them. ByuN now has to pull back away from these Banes on creep. That's a little bit difficult to do. He tries to get the Medivacs, but it took a little bit of running backwards to do so that actually became costly for him. He still has reinforcements here, however, and Reynor's supply is the one that continues to plummet, and it looks as though ByuN is going to win this fight and win maybe this game, because he's going to push through and kill this base, it would seem. These Zerglings continue to drop. There's no Banelings here. It's just Roaches on the production tab. The bio units with Medivac support are looking good to break through. We're killing off the Vipers. We're taking the utility away from the Zerg, and ByuN is going to have himself a game 4 victory. We are going to go to all 5 maps in this best of 5. We are going the full. The top left-hand corner of the map, our blue Terran player in, well, pretty aggressive form and definitely taking some strong positions on maps and making them work. Our blue Terran player here is ByuN. Top right, our little red Zerg is going to be Reynor. Crazy Gaming. Can he get it done here in this series? Or will he set us up for a 5th TvZ of the day? Because obviously it would be more TvZ if Reynor loses out. Otherwise, it will be some TvT. And now just what the plan is here shortly. As the mining begins, Overlord sets out, no proxy racks, nothing too crazy on the side of the hatchery timing. Everyone kind of just playing pretty normally to start. Which is nice. Gas and pool from Reynor even, so again, just super normal there, not really. Also just worth noting, it's not like something crazy like gasless or anything, but not that that's the expectation, but it is just kind of the normal way of doing things. It is a Reaper from ByuN, and as is typical on this map, you can take the in-base expansion, not quite in location, but nearby, and then as it morphs into an orbital, you just mine that out, and then you can actually put the CC on location. That's one thing Terran can do that no other race can. Praise be to mineral blockers, because, well, Terrans deal with those just better than any else. So that is a fun way to go, as the Reaper is about to pop out here and will start to make a journey across the map. The Overlord sees the wall off at the front. I mean, there's not much for the Overlord to see. Maybe check that the expansion is actually up in that backward base. That shouldn't be a problem for it. Then the Overlord can maybe start to lurk somewhere and figure out just where it wants to be to try and get some scouting a bit further down the line and really try and pick up on some additional info. So imagine that's the rough goal here initially. As the Reaper shows up, a couple drones getting bopped around. Things start to take quite a bit of damage as well, as the Reaper hitting them hard. The drone continuing to take some damage. Reaper ends up getting pushed away. The Queen is there to help with that. We do have link speed already starting up on the side of Reynor. Starport also underway here. So ByuN is going to play that double gas. It's not going to play super fast 3cc or anything like that. There is the mined out location, so you can now land that nice and comfortably. And all is looking good if you're a ByuN fan. But then again, it's also only the start of the game, so don't get too excited. Don't get too excited, guys. Lone drone kill from the Reaper. Killed a freaking drone, man. Don't see that every day. Maybe now you should get excited for ByuN, guys. He's killed a drone, that's it. It's decided. This game is his. He's unstoppable. Whoa, he's going to full commit to a Marauder Hellbat attack. Wow, very committed attack. These have been probably the most successful Hellbat attacks we've been seeing lately. They've consistently been able to find a lot of opportunities to, well, just get into mineral lines, kill off workers, kind of just catch a Zerg being way too greedy. We have an Overlord that wants to try and spot this now, but isn't really going to get close enough. Obviously, the Viking can go shut that Overlord down, at which point Reynor might start to think, what else might you be doing with this Viking? What is it that I'm not allowed to see in your main base? That's a tricky one. When you look at what Reynor's actually seen here as well, he did see the barracks on a tech lab, so that is a pretty good indicator. So yeah, he gets far enough forward. The Viking Marine denial didn't quite happen just well enough in time, unfortunately. And that might be all we need for Reynor to figure this out. He's still droning, mind you. He has got a Balin nest on the way. Armory finishing soon. And only 4 lings on the map. Next round of unit production has to be Zerglings. He's adding extra queens. He's on 7. Has to make some lings right now, no? I mean, the Balin nest is all great, but what if you have no lings? Does it matter? Hello? Oh, the queens are split up as well. This is really bad because now you can actually stop these first few queens, and that means you can get a couple kills very quickly. That's really good, and now the Hellbats start to morph in. 4 Banes morph, now extra Zerglings begin to produce. Is it in time for Reynor as the queens being chased away down this ramp, down this bottom side? The drones are already trying to pull away, but the Hellbats are here to kind of block them. The drones decide to go the other way now as the queens are playing ring around the map and trying to find their way away. Oh my goodness, he gets 12 drones up to the top side, cuts them off as they escape away with the Hellbats, and now looking for this third hatchery. These couple of Hellions might try and take the attention away as we got to split against the Banelings, but there was only 4 Banelings that were making because there was only 4 Lings initially. Okay, there's actually a few more Banes on that bottom top right-hand side, but they are not going to do good. And ByuN is looking very good here in map number 5, looking to get it done, but will it be enough? Another Baneling does hit dead center. Do we want to turn some units around onto that hatchery? I think right now we're pretty comfortable just killing off these queens. The couple of Marauders can get the hatchery after, as Lings are going to come streaming on in. And we just want to keep the Hellbats here clumped up to make sure they are killing the Lings as efficiently as possible. Medevac completely out of energy. We've decided now to go get the third hatchery, which is pretty much, in most cases, I'm pretty sure, meant to be game-ending. Done. I guess it's kind of a macro check back at home. Has he macroed properly? Would be surprising if not. And that should put ByuN in absolutely winning position right now of this best of 5. It's going to get that hatchery down that right side. A few Hellbats moving forward, a couple of Marauders, the Viking. All of this currently just continuing through. Marauder's going to catch another queen, which is fantastic. And I mean, that's the issue here as well. Hey, by the way, stim is done, so these Marauders can stim forward for even easier grabs. We only lost 1 Marauder, and that really, again, just having them still around just for these concussive shells is so freaking good. Just going to clear out a little bit of creep spread. And just going to be seeing our extra Hellions morphing into Hellbats, continue to push to the front, continue to come forwards here. And, well, yeah, I mean, we're just going to go for a recancel on the third base. We're going to have stim, so this is going to force the fight pretty quickly. And genuinely, it might be difficult to make this work out. As we split up the Hellbats, that does allow the Lings to come in. This the Banes are trying to dodge away from, as we do see this hatchery potentially being saved. ByuN might just go for it now. I think he's just going to try and trade out for units because the hatch is not a guarantee. Especially when it finishes, obviously you can now get transfusions on it. Then trying to split away, as he will lose everything here. I don't think that's losing everything in such a bad way that it's like, oh no, you know, this is really bad, he's thrown it or anything, but yeah, he lost everything, but he cleaned out a lot of Zerg units as well. You look at the resources lost here, 5.4k to 2.9k. Units lost is obviously heavily in favor then of ByuN. And he's just going to keep on reinforcing. I mean, there's mutas on the way out, which, in fairness, if you're going to try and get ByuN to mess up from here, mutas and something kind of wild and active on the map might be the kind of way to do that. Outside of that, I don't really know what else you're typically going to be looking for in this situation. Here come the Mutalisks. As they move on through, a couple of SCVs will begin to go down. And, well, yeah, I mean, missile turret gets cancelled. These SCVs have to escape away. Marines are going to come chasing up. 8 SCVs going down here. 9 SCVs going down. Like I said, it's definitely the way back in it from Reynor, trying to get Muta harass and just fight his way back into the game, as we do see 1-1 upgrades done from ByuN as well, so all of his fights are going to be pretty good when they do happen. One Marine in the back just trying to get Banelings, as we are going to have these few Marines just trying to make some distance between themselves and the Danes, and now they're going to turn and fight the Mutas, and even if they don't win this fight, I feel like it already is a win because he took down multiple Mutalisks in the process, and anything you're doing to shut down this Mutalisk count is pretty much a good thing right now. As ByuN just going to come across the map with another group of units. He's already got a 4th base finished, by the way, as well, so he has 4 CCs ready to go. So his macro behind this is impeccable. He's just keeping up the pressure because why the hell not? You know, he knows Reynor is on the ropes, and just continuing to attack is going to keep Reynor in trouble. He does deny this far out turret at least. For a few moments, we'll get a few SCVs for that, but of course it means the Mutas aren't here to aid in this defense, which is also a little part of the problem right now. As every part of this defense has been difficult for Reynor, and it's not getting any easier at all. Not in the slightest. Muta's going to try and find a bit more, but Marines get under them, and one of them goes down already. Bottom right corner, Hatchery will fall as well. Widow mines in the mineral lines. Yeah, maybe not getting the biggest of explosions, but again, just harassment Reynor has to try and keep up with. Well, realistically, he wants to actually be trying to find his way back into this game, but that's just not being allowed to happen at all. Tough situation. At this point, obviously, ByuN just continue to build up as he hits 2-2. I wonder if that might be the timing he tries to make it work in. Obviously, with 2-2 upgrades, going to have a pretty hefty upgrade lead. There's still no upgrades from Reynor. It's going to be 2-2 against 0-0. He's going to have a massive lead in that regard. It's going to be kind of crazy, actually, as Widow Mine shot does land on a Mutalisk. So now a little bit of creep spread, Bioforce coming through. The Widow Mines start to burrow as we move up this ramp. The Banelings want to come forward. Doing a pretty decent job here as more of this Ling Bane wants to come rolling down this ramp in toward these Marines. Widow Mine does not land. Another missile turret going to go up off to the side. Some 4 shots going in. The Muta's going to get chased away once more. A few Marines going up there to push that back. Just going to be single Thor helping to keep this all zoned out nicely at the moment. We'll dive bomb the main. They find a couple of SCVs already. Moving through to the bottom right-hand corner. Hatchet, that'll be in some trouble. Ling Bane wants to continue up. You're going to see the Thor lifting as well. Away we go with that towards the main base. All these Banelings going to keep on rolling through. The Marines do lift up, and these Banelings will get shot down. Thor landing here. The few Lings in some trouble. The Bane's rolling in and going to be lifting away as the Banes continue to get shot down at the moment. We get another Overlord. GG's from Reynor. He just doesn't have enough. We kind of knew that. And we was very much so waiting for this final fight to go right. As ByuN takes it 3-2 in this best of 5. ByuN goes to the playoffs, and he will